Here's Heather Wilhelm's daily Wake the Hell Up Trumplicans reveille. You ready? Here it comes. Attention Christians, evangelical Trumplicans. Donald Trump is not your jerk. Like it or not, whether you want to hear it or not, Trump supporters, your hero is in this campaign for no one but himself. Not you, not any of your priorities, not any of the things that you think he's going to do for you. Nope. Only in it for himself, which is pretty much consistent with his entire adult life. Yes, he's a jerk, but he's our jerk. You know that expression, or variations of it. When it comes to politicians, you've surely heard this line before. Until recently, in fact, certain conservatives used to mutter it in hushed asides when they discussed Senator Ted Cruz. Until last week, that is, when Cruz issued a baffling endorsement of a man he once called utterly amoral and a pathological liar, making it quite clear that if he's anyone's jerk, he's Donald Trump's. Thank you very much. This should not surprise anyone, I suppose, coming from a desperate politician strapping his buoy to the flaming, sinking, rabid, raccoon-filled tugboat that is 2016. The only thing being, I don't see how Ted Cruz was in any kind of desperate situation. He was perfectly placed to be the guy who could say for the next 4 years, "See, I told you so." But oddly, many honorable American citizens, or rather formerly honorable American citizens, Americans not facing re-election nor obsessed with the specter of quasi-eternal life in the fever swamps of D.C., seem to have decided against all logic and everything they ever stood for up to now, against vast evidence to the contrary, that Donald Trump is their jerk. Of the numerous examples of this phenomenon, none is more troubling than that of evangelical Christians. You may be noticing a pattern here. Cal Thomas, a heretofore Christian syndicated columnist, is the latest in a long line of cucks. I met Thomas years ago, Heather Thomas writes, around the time of his 1999 book, Blinded by Might, which was co-written with Ed Dobson, and, forthcoming irony alert, cautioned against Christians attempting to find salvation in politicians or the Republican Party. That was then, quite obviously, and this is now. Miss Thomas wove her way to the front of the event, which was at a church, and cheerfully introduced herself. "Mr. Thomas," she said, bright-eyed, "I want to be an opinion columnist." "You and me both, young lady." "Oh," he chuckled, "you poor thing." And boy, was he right. He must have seen 2016 coming. Or maybe he hadn't. Fast forward to today, past Bill Clinton and George W. Bush and Barack Obama to the current Clinton-Trump horror show, and witness Cal Thomas writing in his September 27th column in which he endorses Donald Trump, and it's a doozy. Quote, "All analogies break down at some point, but let's engage in a theological stretch," which is to say, a heretical stretch. When Jesus overturned the money changers' tables in the temple, he said that instead of a house of prayer, the elites of his day had turned the temple into a den of thieves. This increasingly applies to Washington. Well, yeah, that is a stretch, because first of all, the nation's capital was not God's holy temple, the second temple. Not Solomon's temple, it was Herod's temple. Second of all, Donald Trump is not Jesus Christ. To make that parallel, to use this analogy makes that parallel. And that parallel is blasphemous and outrageous. And here, a supposedly Christian columnist, Cal Thomas, is making it. You know, I always wondered what it would look like when the passage regarding the end times that said, false Christs will abound, so deceptive and so powerful in their deception that they will deceive even the elect, even actual Christians, followers of Jesus Christ. I always used to wonder, what would that look like? Now we know. Satan is using Hillary Clinton to lead even heretofore up to now Bible-believing Christians, followers of Jesus Christ, astray. He's using Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump to do it. I mean, is Hillary Clinton evil? Of course she is. Am I going to vote for her? And should you vote for her? Absolutely not. But is Donald Trump just as evil? Yes, he is. And Satan is using Hillary Clinton to dupe and lure Christians into following somebody as bad as she is. I always used to wonder what that would look like. Now we got our answer. I'll pause here to note that the co-author of Blinded by Might just compared Washington, D.C. to a house of worship. That's outrageous, too. But wait, it gets better. Resuming the Cal Thomas quote, only one candidate for president is capable of overturning the money changers in Washington. Why wouldn't he just join them? I mean, are you really seriously suggesting to me that Donald Trump isn't as corrupt as anybody in Washington, D.C.? He's bragged about it. I buy politicians all the time. What makes you think would be any different once he was on the inside, so to speak? Political, governmental, and media elites have had their chance to turn things around, and they have failed. Now it's time for Trump. Time for what? What do you think he would do other than make the corruption worse and turn the nation's capital into an even bigger den of thieves? Donald Trump is a thief and a liar and corrupt and criminal. He's no different than Hillary Clinton. You're being, evangelical Trumplicans, you are being led astray ultimately by the father of lies, Satan. And you don't realize it. You don't get it. Boy, I tell you, you supposedly Christian Trump supporters, you got a lot of confessing to do after all this. You really do. Not to me, to him. Good thing he went to the cross to cover those sins, too. Huh. Now let's ignore the fact that Thomas just used an analogy in which he compared Trump to Jesus. I'm going to need a hydralazine refill real quick. Let's also ignore the fact that amidst all this talk about corrupt money changers, Thomas just endorsed a candidate who literally bankrupted businesses involving seedy money changing tables, gambling, casinos, stiffed people who worked for him, he's a thief and a crook, and has applauded the abuse of eminent domain, stealing private property using the government in which the government can plow over poor people's homes in order to build things like casinos and fancy hotels and money-changing tables. Yes, forget all that. Trump is going to be our jerk. Why do you want a jerk? How about answering that question? Trump, Thomas argues, is the only candidate who can stop the secular progressive agenda, which seems odd if you actually listen to what Trump says. Trump will fight for Christians who are tired of being called homophobes, Thomas tells the world. Meanwhile, the real Trump recently called for immigrants to be questioned about their approval of gay rights. Trump, despite Thomas's protestations, offers incoherent and conflicting paragraphs on gender dysphoria bathrooms. He transgenderized every bathroom in Trump Tower. His history of abortion flip-flops is almost awe-inspiring. When it comes to Christians, in fact, Trump seems passionate about just two things: making everyone say Merry Christmas on command and manipulating what he has repeatedly called a powerful Christian voting bloc. And the latter is the only thing he cares about, because he's doing it so successfully, and not because he's any master manipulator. It's because all of you cucked out there want to be cucked. That's how it looks from the outside, ladies and gentlemen. Will Donald Trump nominate conservative Supreme Court judges? Hell no! He'll nominate his partial birth abortion zealot sister and his gay CEO, or gay pal, the CEO of PayPal. That's who he's going to nominate to the Supreme Court, or anybody that I guess it'll be Charles Schumer tells him to. I mean, he is a habitual lying machine who is trying very hard to get elected. Or maybe he's not trying all that hard, given the first joint press appearance on Monday. What is perfectly clear, if you are paying attention, is this. If Trump gets into the White House, he's not going to be our jerk for Christians or other conservatives. He will be in it for himself. He does not speak of limited government. He publicly admires dictators in Russia and Red China. To think he'll overturn the money-changing tables is patently absurd. Based on his history and his words, he'll simply rig them in his own favor. And here's the sad part about this whole farce. After this election, no matter who wins, Christians will have a lot of work to do. You evangelical Trump supporters, you think Trump's going to do all the work for you, don't you? All the things he's going to do for you. He's not going to do jack shit for you. And at some level, you have to be aware of this. Many of the problems that face our nation have nothing to do with politics. The government cannot fix the spiritual vacuum behind the growing heroin epidemic. It can't magically fix frayed race relations. It cannot help broken families or hurting kids. My kingdom is not of this world, Jesus said. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Render unto God what is God's. And you're idolatrously worshiping a false Messiah. You're dancing around your own golden calf, evangelical Trumplicans. You're no longer worthy of the term evangelical. You've thrown it overboard, just like all your conservative principles, supposedly. Can a Christian vote for Donald Trump? It's a sin. I mean, obviously, a lot of people who call themselves Christians are going to do so. but it's a sin. I mean, and that's one reason among many why I am not doing so, and neither should any of you. I mean, please, don't. If you're going to vote for Donald Trump, don't claim that it's in the name of Christianity. Trump, for many reasons, divides. Christians should unite. By publicly hitching their wagon to Trump, Christians do themselves and their higher calling no good. And in fact, I don't think it's too much of an exaggeration to say that they are rejecting Christ in the process.